We're here at Evo in Forest Grove with the man himself, Paul, once again, and he has had my Ibex for a little while, and he has done a full suspension overhaul, but in the most budget-friendly and efficient, value-oriented way possible. I haven't ridden it yet. That'll come in a separate video, but I just sat on it, and it feels night and day already. So Paul has sort of engineered and pioneered and created some specific upgrades. He bought an Ibex and kind of worked through his own before he started putting together products to put in other people's, and so I'm getting the result of that. But I know I'm not the only one interested in Ibex suspension upgrades, so I thought it might be cool to talk to Paul, and he can tell us what he did. So what did you do to my Ibex, bro?
So first and foremost, the bike has been resprung for Ben's weight. The front springs on this bike are progressive springs, which is nice because they're soft and squishy, but it also means that the bike sits low in the stroke. So I've put in linear springs, which I've had made, and there's a couple other sources. And that allows the bike to sit higher in the stroke, allowing you to use more of the actual suspension travel. The other big change, and this is available as a DIY kit, or you can send your forks to me, I replaced the stock base valves. This little widget normally goes at the bottom of the fork. There's two of them. And on the stock Ibex, this doesn't actually have any shim dampening. It's just a check valve that builds pressure and really kind of gives you a harshness when you're hitting successive bumps or rough BDR type terrain. So this bolt-in widget is actually shim dampened, so it really smooths that out, gives you a lot more comfort. And then the kit also includes extra shim stacks that replace the stock valving for the rebound and the mid-valve circuits. And this whole combination works to improve the fork and actually really make it work compared to the stock one. The stock fork, in my opinion, with as soft as the front springs were, didn't feel like it even had much fork action, and so this just allows it to breathe better. It dampens much better. You obviously still have all your stock adjustments like the compression and rebound adjusters, but we've just given you that extra bit of dampening, which what that translates to you is better comfort and better confidence. And confidence, especially if you're not a avid off-roader, is definitely something we all need. So that's the front. In the case of the rear, it's a little bit more straightforward affair of just a simple respring and revalve like we do on a lot of bikes. And so like this stock shock, the stock shock spring is rather stiff for, let's say, the average 180 pound rider. If you're actually more like 200 to 220, like I'm 205, that I'll admit to, works really well. Ben's a little bit bigger, so we went up in spring rate, but we didn't have to drastically go up in spring rate. So all in all, for a budget-friendly option that didn't cost a third the cost of the whole bike itself, we've done front and rear, whereas some of the aftermarket options really start kind of adding up.
So what would you say, what would it cost to have all this done if someone brought you their bike?
If you brought me this bike as it sits, and I even did the removal and install, we'd be right around $1,000, if not a skosh less.
And what about if they don't live around here and they just want you to send the parts? What's that going to cost them?
Really about the same price other than the round trip shipping, which, you know, depending on your discounts you may already have, or I can send you a label. I get pretty decent discounts. Round trip, I can ship it for under $200, I'd say.
You mean, so if they send you their forks?
Fork
Yeah.
and shock.
What
Usually it's more like about 120 round trip.
What if they just want to order your parts, like what the Canadian guys did for the Outback bike?
So in the case of the kit, which again is two of these plus some shim stacks and a tool, that kit just by itself is about $190 US. And then I also have the linear fork springs in a variety of rider weights, and those are 150. So all pretty standard pricing you would find if you were looking at other aftermarket kits for whether it's this bike or other bikes. So try to keep my pricing in line and offer a lot of value for what you're paying for.
And this is like the fifth bike of mine you've done, and
Fifth? I don't know, I can't count.
Paul does a great job of just taking what you have and making it better rather than trying to upsell you like $5,000. And like you could put a $2,000 tractive shock on this, but you don't have to.
It's exponentially more expensive
Yeah.
for the gains you're getting. Don't get me wrong, I do love the tractor product. I sell quite a bit of it, but being a budget-friendly bike, let's keep the suspension upgrade also budget-friendly.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a drastic difference. I can't, like my 300L, for instance, you just did a budget setup. Like it cost me not very much money, and that thing is night and day. And so I'm so excited to get on the Ibex, and again, very thankful to Paul, and glad he's nearby. So he's in Forest Grove here. So if you're in Oregon, Washington, PNW, you can just bring your bike to him, and if you're not, you can ship your stuff to him. But he doesn't pay me to make commercials for him. I just really like what he does, and I know a lot of you are budget conscious. I tend to try to be budget conscious, or at least showcase budget conscious stuff, and I just think you can't beat it for the money. So thanks, Paul, for going through this one again, and I am excited to get out and see the difference, because I had some suspension issues on my last big trip on this.
I think during that trip, we really should have done this before my trip.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. A little bit of regret.
And I bet there's a link somewhere to those videos.
I'm sure one might just pop up like, boop, right there. All right, man. Well, thank you very much. Stoked, and appreciate you as always. I'll put a link to Paul at Evo in the description, and definitely hit this guy up if you need suspension.
Excellent!